or the meat that you're eating, the cow flesh that you're eating, is raised in the countries that you're living in, it is still not sustainable, and it is also adding to global warming. For an example, the cows in the United States, they produce 100 million tons of methane gas every year just from burping and farting. Methane gas is 23 times more potent than CO2.
Wow.
So they're spewing all of this global warming gas into the air and causing that. Now, since I've moved here, I've been a vegetarian before and then I got off, but once I came back here and saw what kind of destruction we're doing with the planet and stuff, I've become a vegetarian. And it's not so much because of the health reasons, which I think it is beneficial too, but it's also because we really need to start approaching how we can save this planet. And I'm not asking everybody to become a vegetarian, but to change their protein choices to a different level.
Yeah.
About 75% of all the corn, for instance, produced in the United States is being fed to animals instead of human beings. The vast majority of all the crops grown in the United States is being fed to animals instead of being fed directly to us. So for me, for someone that has a diet like me, my protein source is much different and takes up much less land. For a person that's eating meat as a basic protein source, it requires 20 acres of land every year just to provide that protein.
And for me, one person?
That's just for one person.
Wow.
20 acres of land. You know, we don't realize how much land is being used.
Yeah.
It also requires about 4,500 to 5,000 gallons of water. And water is becoming a very precious resource to sustain, to raise that cow or to raise those chickens and pigs and stuff. So it's taking so much precious water to raise them also. Now for someone like me, instead of 20 acres of land, it takes 1 acre of land. And for the amount of water, instead of 4,500 gallons of water, it takes about 200 gallons of water. And we have to think about it, because the population of the world is growing at an incredible rate. A friend of mine wears a button that says 9,000 an hour. So people come up and say, what is 9,000 an hour? The net gain of people every hour on this planet is 9,000 new people. If you subtract how many people that have died and how many people are born, we have 9,000 new human beings on this planet.
Whoa.
So if we continue to eat the way we were accustomed to eating, it is not sustainable. So we need to change our choices on how we do eat. So meat to me is one of the most horrible effects on our planet. And in fact, we approach global warming in a different way than most. We talk about we need to reduce our gas consumption. We need to build cars that are much, get much better mileage and stuff, and that is a very important factor. Or your light bulb, make sure you get fluorescent light bulbs and stuff, and that's all very important. But the cattle industry alone, throughout the whole planet, which includes in the Amazon and here and stuff where they're still cutting down the forest and burning it, and then also all the production of methane gas and raising food for these cattle and stuff. The whole cattle industry actually causes more global warming problems to our planet than all the cars, planes, trains, and ships that exist here.
Wow.
So this is to show you how you have such an impact by just the way you eat. I want to bring up a couple other things so that you're just aware of it. I just like to make people aware of it. You can make your choice on, of course, how you eat or something. But as long as you're aware, maybe you'll make some different choices now and then or whatever. Shrimp is the most popular seafood in the United States. And more people eat shrimp than any other seafood that is produced. Unfortunately, 90%, up until about a year ago, 90% of the shrimp is caught in countries like Costa Rica and Thailand. And only 10% was caught in the Gulf of Mexico, which now, because of the oil spill, that's probably reduced to about 1%.
Yeah.
So the shrimp you're eating is 1% of it is maybe coming from the Gulf of Mexico. Now in the Gulf, they catch it sustainably. They have nets that other creatures can flow through. They have nets that stop. They don't kill turtles. But here in the tropics, where most of the shrimp is coming from, they have nets here that kill turtles. I was working down by a beach in a very remote part of the South Pacific here in Costa Rica, and in 1 month, 190 sea turtles floated up on shore with 2 or 3 of their fins cut off.
Shit.
And they were cut off because the shrimpers here catch them in their nets. They don't ever want to catch them again. So when they bring them out, they cut their fins off, dump them back in, and they drown and they kill them.
That's so cruel.
So thousands of turtles are dying every year because of the shrimp nets. Not only that, but for every pound of shrimp that they pull up in these nets, 10 pounds of other creatures. It can be baby marlin, baby sailfish, baby snapper. It could be little octopus. It could be other crustaceans. 10 pounds of other creatures are pulled up on, and then they die there, and then they dump them over. So for every pound of shrimp, we're killing 10 pounds of other creatures. So shrimp is a very, very non-sustainable food. They farm it also, and it's done non-sustainably. They cut down mangrove swamps, put pools in them. Mangrove swamps are very important for the nurseries for fish to live in, but they cut those down, and then they build these ponds, and they overfeed the shrimp, lots of food, and also the food that they're feeding the shrimp is ground up fish meal, which is fish that are caught out in the ocean just to feed the shrimp. Well, when they overfeed them, they pull them out once they're ready, and then they open up these pools with dikes, the dikes, and this water with all these nitrates and nitrites goes back into the rest of the mangroves and really affects the wildlife there. So shrimp is a very, very non-sustainable industry. One other one, and this is just another little thing to make you aware of, is much of the fish that you're eating in the United States is being harvested on long lines. And people don't realize, but in the tropics here, we have these lines that are 15 to 20 feet long with a hook every 6 feet. Now, they don't only just catch fish that we're going to eat. They catch other fish that die. They catch turtles. Each year, about 40,000 turtles die every year just from these long lines. About 2,000 dolphin die every year on these long lines. 1,500 small types of whales, pilot whales, die on these long lines. So we're really, really killing so much of the creatures in the ocean, which really wreaks havoc on the whole environment, because each one of these different creatures plays an important role in the ocean. So a lot of the fish that we are consuming is really not sustainable. And so, of course, people say, well, then what can I eat?
Lots
if
of
I'm going
things.
to. Well, again, I'm a vegetarian. I find plenty of good things to eat. I always like to think about it. I eat to live. I don't live to eat. So I try to keep that not a top priority. But we do have choices, and I guess unfortunately, the most environmentally friendly would be maybe organic chickens. They seem to be able to grow them in the smallest areas. They have probably the least impact. And that's another thing too, is, a lot of people will say, well, I eat organic beef. Well, I can go back to telling you it can be organic, but they're still producing all this methane gas. They still need all this land to consume to get them to grow organically. So it's really, even organic beef is not sustainable, because it takes, again, 20 acres of land just to sustain that one, the protein that you need. So organic is a step in the right direction, but we need to evolve even further than that. And I guess the last point that I would like to make about it is, I do look at this as like an evolutionary ladder that we're climbing up. Originally, we hunted for our foods, and we had to hunt for our foods to get our proteins. And there's still tribes in the Amazon and the Inuits and Alaskan people that still need to hunt to survive, but they do it in a very sustainable way. They're not destroying everything to do that. Then years later, thousands of years later, we learned how to raise animals to get our protein to live, and that worked for several thousand years. Now, because our population is so big and we have so many people consuming all of these animals, that we now need to kind of move on, and now we can get all the protein we need to sustain ourselves without killing animals. So hopefully someday we will evolve to the next step, which is just not to kill animals or raise animals just because they taste good and we think we need to eat them. We want to eat them because of that. So hopefully this will make you think twice about your eating habits and what effect it has on the whole globe, the whole planet, and the rainforest, and then on top of it all, your health.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, we're eating so much stuff now that's stuffed with hormones and antibiotics and this and that. We're eating all these products that are just not healthy for us. And even if you want to take it on a spiritual level, which I usually don't with people, but since you're watching, I'll just mention a little bit. I believe that there's more to life than what we see here and stuff. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I love all creatures, and I think they all deserve a break. We shouldn't be controlling them. But when we slaughter them, these animals are known, they've even done studies where the negative energy produced out before they're slaughtered and stuff that they keep up in their bodies, when they're slaughtered, it remains in them, and then we're eating this negative energy. When we go to the market and buy our package of steak or our lamb chops or something, there's a ton of negative energy in that, and we're consuming it. And it seems like we are getting many more diseases now than we used to have.
Yeah.
And people are getting many more problems, high blood pressure, heart attacks, cancer, and this and that. And it all does have to do with our environment, and a lot of it plays a role in the way we eat.
And that's totally obvious, because if someone wants to do a detox, it never includes meat.
Yes, exactly.
They never have a diet of more meat to get healthier.
Yes. So you can make a difference at home. You can make a difference for the whole planet, and it doesn't take much. And actually, you can wind up saving money because it's cheaper for me to eat than it is for you.
Yeah.
So even if you reduce the amount of meat you're eating, let's say if you're eating it 4 times a week, reduce it to once a week. Makes a huge difference on this planet. And I love the rainforest. I love this world. I love all the animals that are in it. And you at home can really make a difference on saving this rainforest by the way you eat.